All the rest of these are all about feedback. Enough of it, detailed enough, fairly obvious. Quickly enough to be useful, fairly obvious. Both of these things seldom happen. Focus on learning rather than on marks and students. There's really good research evidence that if you have three conditions, marks only, feedback and marks, feedback only, it's the feedback only condition that produces most learning. There's absolutely unquestionable evidence about this. If you take marks of things, learning improves. Simple as that. There have been some schools around Oxford that were in a study, and all the teachers did to change their practice was take marks off everything they did in terms of handing work back to students, and performance went up. Because what happens is that the learner focuses on their learning, not on feeling that they're a good or bad person or something. It's a psychological phenomenon. They focus their attention on their work, and they were meant to put a red traffic light in the margin where they thought something was probably wrong or dodgy, and a green blob in the margin where they thought it was probably okay and quite good. And that's all they did. They went down and then they handed it back to the other person. And when you get your work back, your problem is to work out what is it about it that's good, what is it about it that's bad. What's that red blob mean? What am I looking for? It's really good focused attention on your own work prompted by somebody. They might be right, they might not, but it produces interesting analytical reflection, even in quite young children. That's on the learning, it's not nothing to do with marks. And the last thing, there's no lecture, especially in British higher education, about students not understanding what teachers tell them in their feedback. I won't go on about this because most of it's fairly obvious, but an anecdote from my older daughter, she was 4 when she went to school, she's now 20, she was then 22, she's at Warwick University studying law and sociology. She gets a sociology essay back and it's got one comment at the bottom where it says C, at the bottom you've got a C, and it said, not sociological enough. And her comment to me was, if I'd known how to be sociological enough, I'd have done it. To the things we ask, even conclusion, question mark, I mean, what's the student supposed to think? If you're an absolutist in your epistemological stance, everything's right. What do you mean a conclusion? If you're totally relativist in your epistemological stance, then any conclusion will do, really. I mean, they're all equally valid. The notion of the kind of conclusion that we would accept as a conclusion requires quite a sophisticated epistemological stance. You have to take a position in relation to something and justify it with your arguments. It's a jolly difficult thing to do. Just writing conclusion question marks, students have no idea what you're talking about. It's a long time before the idea of a conclusion becomes clear. So a lot of the things we tell students, we assume they understand, but they don't. And one of the consequences of that is that you need to negotiate the meaning of these words. It needs to be talked about. As we come on, it turns out that oral feedback is very important.